looking for a repeat tonight here at Rangers Ballpark in Arlington. It's game number 2, the Rangers and the Los Angeles Angels. And welcome in, everyone, along with Tom Greaves, Steve Busby. Delighted you could join us on this Tuesday night of Ranger baseball. And if Tuesday is anything like Monday, this should be a dandy tonight. A good pitching matchup again. It'll be C.J. Wilson, a fan favorite here for a lot of years, and Derek Holland on the hill. Yeah, it's a really even matchup. Both pitchers are having almost an identical season. Their Rays are similar. Their strikeouts are similar. CJ's given up a few fewer hits. Derek's given up a few fewer walks. But both left-handers are having terrific seasons. CJ's won 7 out of his last 8 starts. Might be the best 6-week stretch of his career. So it shapes up to be another pitcher's battle. Be a tough night for the hitters. We'll see which way it goes. Well, a couple of guys pitching well last night did very well. A couple of guys hoping to pitch well tonight. And we'll see what happens in game 2 of this 3-game series between the Rangers and the Angels. Ian Kinsler back at that number 3 slot again. He was pivotal last night. Rangers and Angels, first pitch, starting lineup coming up right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealer. Don't miss the Ford Summer Spectacular featuring blockbuster deals. Now playing at your best in Texas Ford dealer. By AT U-verse TV. Check availability at 1-800-PIT-ATT. Rethink possible. By Progressive. Visit Progressive.com today. And by Elysia, from the director of District 9, in theaters August the 9th. High, milky white overcast over our heads as Derek Holland of the Rangers take the field. Before we get underway, let's send it down to Jim Knox. Jim?
Well, I appreciate it, Buzz. You know, the fans here at the ballpark still buzzing about last night's come-from-behind win against the Rangers. We asked Ron Washington before the game, could that win last night maybe spark some momentum down the stretch?
Every day is a different challenge, you know. Tonight our challenge is C.J. Wilson. Last night our challenge was Weaver. So it's a different challenge, it's different circumstances, but you know, it does give you some confidence, especially after the way we've been playing. And you know, we just got to go out there tonight and put another solid ball game together. And if we can put a solid ball game together, I think our chance.
Ron Washington, the Rangers skipper, with the Geico quote of the day, and these fans ready to go, looking for another Rangers win. Buzz?
All right, Noxie, thank you. Now, Derek Holland takes that 8-6 record out to the mound here tonight. And as Tom told you, he's been throwing about as well as anyone. Here's the Angels lineup that Holland will face tonight. Eric Ibar leads off. Colin Cowgill is in right field tonight. Mike Trout is in center. Mark Trumbo bats cleanup. He's the first baseman. Howie Kendrick is second base. The DH tonight is Josh Hamilton. Alberto Callasmo bats seventh. The catcher is Chris Iannetta, is who I had down, and maybe it's Hank Conger. We'll find out in a second. J.B. Shuck is in left field.
We'll check out the progressive scouting report for Derek Holland. 21 starts, nice season. 8-6, 3.06 ERA. That's the 10th best ERA in the league. Last 6 starts, he's only 3-2, but his ERA is 2.25. Opponent's batting average, a little bit unusual. Left-hand hitters are hitting a little higher than right-hand hitters. I think that's been coming down a little bit as time goes on. And one of the key guys in the lineup for Derek tonight is a left-hand hitter. That's Josh Hamilton, who's hitting 6th in the lineup.
Now, the 26-year-old left-hander from Newark, Ohio, out to see if he can keep his streak going. And here's Eric Ibar leading things off, and he takes strike one. Well, we're underway at about a 98-degree evening here at Rangers Ballpark. Make that 97 and drop down a degree. 7:07 the first pitch here for game number 2 between the Rangers and the Angels. Slow breaking ball. Holland ahead of the count. 0-2. Remember last time that Derek pitched, we remarked at how well he was getting ahead of hitters. 19 of the first 21 hitters he faced got ahead with a first pitch strike. Beltre gloves, sets his feet, and fires one away. Take a look at the rest of the Ranger defense. The outfield with Leonis Martin in left, Craig Gentry in center, Nelson Cruz is in right. Jeff Baker, the start at first base. Ian Kinsler, Elvis Andrus up the middle. You saw Adrian Beltre at the hot corner, and Giovanni Soto is behind the plate once again, handling Derek Holland. Umpiring crew tonight. We'll have Greg Gibson calling the balls and strikes. The crew chief, Jerry Lane, is at first. Hunter Windelstedt at second, and Alan Porter down the line at third. Very comfortable evening. A breeze of 7-8 miles an hour, probably blowing in from right field as the first pitch is inside to Colin Cowgill. Ranger fans will remember Cowgill last year spent some time with Oakland and was really a big part of that team's resurgence. Good fastball to the inside corner. It's a ball and a strike.
Derek has lost his last 2 starts, but he's pitched well in both starts. Against Baltimore, 3 earned runs in 8 innings. Against the Yankees, 2 runs in 7 1/3. Both resulted in losses. Not much run support for him, but certainly pitched well enough in both of those games to get a win.
2 balls and a strike to Cowgill. Colin Cowgill off to a very good start with the Angels. 438 the average. It's this off the end of the bat. A one-hopper. Gloved by Elvis. A long throw. Got him. Nice play by Elvis Andrus. He had time to set his feet, and he threw a rifle shot over to Jeff Baker.
Yeah, off the bat, it looked like it was going into left field, and then you saw that he didn't hit it all that well. Elvis was able to get to it, take his time, show off his arm a little bit, and Jeff scoops it for the second out. Good start for Derek.
So 2 ground balls, 2 outs, and Mike Trout comes up with the bases empty. Trout, a 2-hit game last night with a couple of walks. He was 2 for 2, and that average now at 324. And he takes strike one. Trout has had very good success against Derek Holland, 316, but a couple of home runs. And we mentioned last night about Trout. He's hit 7 home runs against the Rangers in his short career, and 6 of them have been in this ballpark. Spins out of the way of that inside fastball. It's 1-1. month of July. 5th highest average for Trout at 363. Pulled on the ground into left field, a base hit. Well, Trout out in front of it, but strong enough to rip that by Adrian Beltre. And there's the first base runner of the game tonight. 2-out single puts Trout aboard and brings up Mark Trumbo.
Rangers had some pretty good luck with Trumbo last night, getting him to chase balls out of the zone. That was a curveball right down the middle of the plate. Definitely not where Derek was trying to throw it. Fortunately, Trout was out in front of it. Didn't hit it all that well. That's one that could have ended up a lot worse.
Trumbo, first ball swinging, shoots it out of play down the right side, back into the crowd. It is 0-1. Trumbo at 249 for the year. Another hot first half for him. 22 home runs and 61 RBI. See, he also has a couple of career home runs against Derek Holland. Seems like Derek has either been really good or not so much against the Angels in his career. There haven't been many games where it's been in between. Remember, he threw a complete game shutout against the Angels, one of the 6 that he's thrown in his career, out in Anaheim several years ago.
Yeah, that can kind of be shown this year. He's had 2 starts against him. One was 2 runs in 7 innings. One was 6 runs in 5 2/3. So it's been the case in his 2 starts this year too.
0-1 the count. Ball hit to left center field and hit well. Going back is Gentry. That ball's gone. Up onto the hill on an 0-1 pitch, and Mark Trumbo, with his 23rd home run of the year, gives the Angels a 2-0 lead.
Well, Trout got a good curveball to hit. Hit it okay in the left field. Trumbo got a good curveball to hit and launched it way up on the grass in left center field. The curveball, after 2 outs and nobody on, has hurt Derek badly in the first inning. It's pretty much the exact same pitch right down the middle of the plate, and probably not exactly where Derek was trying to throw it.
No, the Angels with the early lead. Now Howie Kendrick takes strike 1. That ball about 3/4 of the way up Greens Hill out there in center field. Soto flashing the signs out. Holland back to the plate, and a breaking ball that stayed up again, but Kendrick out in front enough to pull it foul. Tail of the tape on Trumbo's home run, 432 feet. The estimate of the distance traveled. 0-2 pitch. Now 1-2.
Derek had the 2nd best home run per 9 inning ratio in the league. About a half a home run per 9 innings. Last year the home run hurt him. This year he's really corrected that.
Got him swinging. Well, the strikeout ends the inning for the Angels. They get 2 runs on Mark Trumbo's 2-run home run, a couple of hits. Bottom of the first coming up. Angels 2, Rangers will be next. run blast. Rangers now coming to bat in the Rangers starting lineup, delivered by DeMontron, RB. Leonis Martin in the leadoff spot again. Elvis Andrus bats second, then it's Ian Kinsler. Adrian Beltre is the cleanup man. He's playing third. The DH once again, A.J. Przinsky. Nelson Cruz in right. Jeff Baker batting seventh, gets the start at first. Giovanni Soto catching. And Craig Gentry, the center fielder, hits ninth.
Take a look at the scouting report for C.J. Wilson. Like Derek Holland, having an excellent season. Last 5 starts have been really good. Won 4 out of those 5 with a 1.25 ERA. 10th in the American League with 124 strikeouts. And a few too many walks, 52 walks. CJ's always been among the top 10 in walks. But you can't quibble with the season he's having.
Nope.
Having a nice, solid season.
0-1 pitch is fouled back, and Leonis Martin now in an 0-2 hole to C.J. Wilson. Martin last night 1 for 3. Or make that 1 for 4, excuse me, with a bunt single. First time that he had led off for the Rangers. Now time called momentarily. Martin not quite ready, and C.J. Wilson working quickly. Breaking ball, and just able to check his swing in time. That runs the count to a ball and 2 strikes. See, Leonis Martin much better in this ballpark than he has been on the road this year. Better than 100 points higher. Chops one out to short Ibar. Nice convenient high hop. A little bit of a wide throw, but Trumbull with a big wingspan, able to keep his toe on the bag for out number 1. Take a look at the rest of the Angel defense tonight behind C.J. Wilson. Chuck in left tonight. Trout in center. Cowgill is right field. Trumbo at first. Kendrick and Ibar up the middle. Cayaspo at third. Chris Iannetta is catching. And C.J. Wilson, the former Ranger, on the mound. Well, here's Elvis. Andrus 1 for 4 also last night. He takes a strike. Andrus 250 for the year. 32 RBI. Ron Washington comfortable enough with what Elvis has done during his 11-game hitting streak to get him back in the number 2 slot in the order. See, against C.J. Wilson, Elvis has had pretty good success. And a strike there makes it 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Last year, C.J. pitched against the Rangers. It felt like almost every time we played him. This year, this is his first start. 0-2, a 7.65 ERA against the Rangers.
Elvis, a shot fair down the right field side. Headed toward the corner. Cowgill trying to dig it out. Going for 2 is Elvis. He's in with a headlong slide. A 1-out double for Elvis Andrus, his 11th 2-bagger of the year.
Yeah, Elvis is picking it up. He's 14 for 41 now, getting over 330 in the last 40-plus at-bats. He's trying to get right back on the board in the bottom of the first after the Angels scored a couple of times. Inside out's that fastball. Hit it hard, too, right down the right field line. Cowgill was shading him that way, so he had a chance to hold Elvis to a single. Doesn't quite get down in the corner.
No, Elvis in scoring position here in the initial frame, and Ian Kinsler now will come up. Ian, as we talked about in our pregame remarks, last night a big component of the Ranger offense. He had 2 RBI with a single and a sac fly. And you can see Ian has enjoyed his time against C.J. Wilson to the tune of a 400 average. Wilson sets a check of second. And misses outside. Looks like he took something off that pitch. It's a ball and a strike. Kinsler now with the RBI total up to 44. 9 home runs. He's got another one out there at second in the person of Elvis Andrus. The 1-1 pitch. 2-1. Ian, see, with runners in scoring position, third best in the American League at .364 average. And that was one of the main prompts for Ron Washington to get him out of that leadoff spot and into the number 3 hole. The Rangers, as we know, really been struggling with the runners in scoring position. The bluff move to second. Elvis scrambling back. Two balls, one strike, the count as Wilson sets. And that's outside, 3-1. Well, as we've seen C.J. Wilson over the years, he will start picking at you little by little if he's not real convinced that he wants to work to a hitter.
Well, he throws per game the most pitches in baseball, over 110 pitches per start. And that pretty much speaks to what you're saying, Buzz. He will throw a lot of pitches.
A 3-1, Ian waiting. That ball's hammered but pulled foul down the left side. And the count runs full. Well, Ian trying to get aboard to help out this Ranger first inning. Adrian Beltre, the Ranger cleanup man, waiting in that on-deck circle.
One thing people can never question about CJ, and that's his dedication to the profession and the condition that he keeps himself in.
Yeah,
he's pretty much as finely tuned an athlete as a pitcher as anybody in the game.
Payoff pitch. Looper to left field. Coming on in a hurry is Shuck. He can't get there. Here comes Elvis. The throw is not cut off. Sliding in with the RBI. Elvis Andrus driven home by Ian Kinsler. And it's a 2-1 Angel lead as the Rangers answer immediately.
Ian Kinsler might have found a home in the third spot. We mentioned in the pregame show he was third in the league batting with men in scoring position. He had a base hit with a man on second last night, and now right off the bat, man in scoring position. Phantom Cam hit a little bit off the end of the bat. It's probably a good thing. Didn't go far enough for the left fielder to catch it. Right off the bat, Rangers get on the board.
Boy, and Elvis getting off that secondary lead off second base really read that ball quickly. That allowed him to score on what otherwise would have been a little problematic. So 2-1 now, and Adrian Beltre takes high and away for ball one.
Yeah, so many times, Buzz, you'll see the runner at second get a good jump and then question whether the guy's going to catch it and stop about halfway to third base and only end up at third. And you might as well keep going, because if he catches it, he's going to double you off second base anyway. So you might as well keep going. I don't know that Elvis ever questioned whether he would catch it, but he got a good jump and just kept right on going.
Adrian Beltre at home this year, the 5th best home average at .325. 11 of his 22 home runs have been in this ballpark. He has Kinsler at first with one out. And the off-speed delivery is low and in. It's 2-0.
By secondary lead, that's his lead, and then as the pitcher pitches, he takes several steps off. That's the secondary lead. And he gets a good jump and just keeps on going. You take the secondary lead after you know the pitcher's going to throw the ball to the plate. If you took that secondary lead before he did, you're going to get picked off. You take a comfortable lead where you know you can't get picked off, and then as he starts his pitch to the plate, you get off farther so that you can score just like that on a base hit.
And Elvis did that almost perfectly. 3-0 pitch. That is a belt high strike. It's 3-1 to Beltre. Adrian checking with Gary Pettis down at third. See if the go ahead, I'm sure, is there for Adrian if he chooses to drive a ball. Kinsler, a modest lead at first as Wilson sets. And Ranger fans will remember that C.J. Wilson, for a left-hander, doesn't possess a very good move. That's one of the oddities, one of the You know, one of the curious things about CJ's game, he doesn't have a good move. You would think he would.
I would too. The way he, studies the game,
right.
You would think that he would have come up with a very effective pickoff move.
And the left-hander's ready again. And the 3-1. Inside ball 4. And there are 2 aboard for A.J. Pierzynski. And Mike Butcher going to make an early visit to the mound to talk to C.J. Wilson and to Chris Iannetta.
One thing you hopefully stay out of is a double play. Keep making him make a lot of pitches before you know it. You had 30 pitches in the first inning.
That'd be okay.
That'd be great. I'm all for it.
I don't think Mike Butcher is thinking that'd be so super, but that's okay. Now, A.J., part of the catching duo last night that did the damage in that 9th inning. How about this? Both the catchers on your roster going deep in the 9th inning. Not only are they not in the game together very often, at least Ron Washington shied away from that for a while. He's changed that a little bit lately, but both in the 9th inning, Pierzynski tied it, and that man, Giovanni Soto, won it.
Yeah, you have to play Giovanni today. I mean, he earned the right to start this game.
Sure did.
With that home run. And the way he's played the last 4 or 5 times he's played, he deserves to play.
Well, here's Pierzynski now with Kinsler at second, Beltre at first. 1 out, a run across here in the Ranger first. They trail 2-1. And the breaking ball is a bit wide to A.J. Pierzynski with his 11th home run of the year last night off of Ernesto Frieri. See A.J. 2 for 6 in his career against C.J. Wilson. Kinsler and trailed by Beltre at first. A late swing and a miss on that fastball from Wilson. 1-1 to Pierzynski. And A.J. lighting up left-handers recently. 6 for his last 17. That's a .353 average. A.J. takes a lot of left-handers the other way. Tries to go to left field with them. Tried that time, too, and fouled it straight back. It's a ball and 2 strikes. John, you and I were talking about seeing A.J. in that particular bat looking for a pitch he could drive, and he tried to tell people after the ball game, "Yeah, we're just trying to make contact."
I don't think so.
Just trying to make
I
contact.
thought he was trying to hit a home run from the second he started walking up to the plate.
Now, maybe he was trying to make contact that would get the ball out of the ballpark. That I might buy.
Yeah. I'm just saying what it looked like. Now, if he says he was just trying to make contact, well, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, we're just kidding.
It did not look like that.
Yeah, we're just kidding with it, too.
Yeah, the first pitch that he saw was almost bounced to him, and he was ready to swing at it.
But believe me, I wouldn't have brought that up if he popped up and struck out.
No, I wouldn't either. And the second strike was a big swing and a miss. And then the pitch that he threw looked like it was inside.
Yeah.
Somehow he golfed it out of here.
Down about shin high.
Yeah, it was exciting, boy.
2-2, the count to Pierzynski. C.J. Wilson okays the sign and sets. Breaking ball hangs inside. It's 3-2. C.J. Wilson now with 3 consecutive 3-ball counts. And Mike Scioscia, not a real fan of having to throw 25 pitches in the first inning. 12 balls, 12 strikes out of the first 24. Now Wilson ready. Again, the runners take their leads. Payoff pitch. Got him swinging. Went up high with a fastball, and CJ couldn't quite get on top of it. That is out number 2, and it will bring up Nelson Cruz. So Nelly, as you look at CJ going after AJ.
See, a little bit underneath it by an inch or so. High fastball was a strike.
Cruz at 268, 24 home runs, 71 RBI. Wilson's first pitch to him. Inside for ball 1. Check the numbers on Nelly. 2 for 7 is Nelson Cruz against C.J. Wilson. Nelly tied for 5th in the American League with those 24 home runs. Got Kinsler at second, Beltre at first. Line drive, base hit center field. Kinsler being waved around. He will score without a throw. And Nelson Cruz with the RBI single has tied this ball game at 2 apiece.
Like CJ tried to speed his windup on the stretch a little bit to Nelly. Like he's going to try and throw one right by him. Came in at 91 and went right back at him at about 101. Well, he didn't flinch either. He tried to get his glove up to catch it. Pretty good reflexes.
Yeah, by the time that glove got up, he was already to second base. That's okay. Yeah, that 60 feet or so that you're away from the batter when he hits the ball can get real short when the ball's hit like that.
Yeah, that's
No, a brand new ball game. We will start all over, and the Rangers start with runners at first and second for Jeff Baker. And Baker takes a strike. Baker at 326 overall this year. Against left-handers, a cool 400. 9 home runs for Jeff Baker, 16 RBI. Trying to pick up Beltre from second. Fouled away to the right. It is 0-2.
CJ coming into this game in his last 8 starts was 7-1 with an ERA under 2. He was pitching some great baseball. In his last 2 starts, he beat the A's twice. 8 innings, 1, 7 innings, another. 8 1/3 shutout innings, as a matter of fact, in his last start. Oh, he's on a good roll coming into this game.
And he's using up a lot here in the first inning. This will be pitch number 30 for the Angel left-hander. In the dirt, and Iannetta a nice block to keep that around home plate.
1-0-2. That's what it looked like.
Yeah. And that covers that 57, 58 feet, whatever it is, after you get through throwing the ball pretty quickly.
What's that, like about 3/10, 4/10 of a second?
Less than 4/10, yeah. Because a
don't
hitter
have a whole
usually
lot.
has,
Don't have a whole lot of time to react to that.
No. You just want to get your forehead out of the way. 1-2 the count. Got him swinging. Now Wilson able to come back and get a couple of strikeouts, but the Rangers, on the strength of RBI singles by Kinsler and Cruz, tie it up. We're going to the second in Arlington. Rangers 2, Angels 2. Fox Sports Southwest. For both ball clubs here tonight. Rangers with 3 hits, the Halos with 2 hits. And Josh Hamilton to a chorus of mostly boos here tonight, as it was last night. Starting off the second inning, for the Angels. Hamilton hitting at .223, had a couple of hits last night. Goes to work against Derek Holland, who misses inside with a fastball. It is 1-0. Hamilton against his former team this year, hitting just below .380. Fouled into the glove and out of the glove. Giovanni Soto. A ball and a strike. Well, Derek Holland, a new lease on life after his ball club came back and tied the game. So he's basically pitching as he started the game even. And he's ahead of Hamilton at 1 and 2.
Well, Derek's got a good combination if he makes his pitches to get Hamilton out. This is one of them. The sinker down and in, and the other one is a slider down and away. If he throws him where he wants to, then Josh is going to have a hard time.
Yep, sure is. 1-2 pitch. Now 2 and 2.
Reaching back for a little extra right there. Popped it up there at 96.
Holland into the wind. The left-hander deals. And the breaking ball is wide. Hamilton able to lay off of it. The count has run full. So Hamilton trying to start things off for the Angels by getting aboard. Alberto Callaspo, the third baseman, will follow. Holland's payoff pitch. Got him swinging. Well, 1 out, second strikeout for Holland, and before Alberto Callaspo steps in, let's go over and say hello again to Jim Knox. Jim?
I appreciate it, Buzz. These Ranger fans love that strikeout. Didn't you guys? Oh, there we go. All right. The community corner tonight, talking about the Rangers' annual Labor Day race. That's right here at the ballpark. You can cross the finish line down on the field to take part in the Rangers' Labor Day race. Log on to TexasRangers.com/race. Buzz?
All right, Jim, thank you.
Watching that guy cross the finish line with that carriage with the 2 kids in it reminds me of a 5K race I ran in with Jim Reeves about 20 years ago.
What, you were pushing him in the...
No.
Oh, okay.
No. That's a good line. No, I was coming to the finish line, and I was trying to cut like finish halfway decent, finish middle of the pack. And as I'm getting to the finish line, a young lady with a baby in a carriage passed me at the finish line. That's when I knew any kind of distance running was probably not my strong suit.
Callaspo swinging a miss. It's 1 and 2. Yeah, that'll kind of re-explain the facts to you, I guess, about stuff.
While they ask, are you trying to show me up?
Yeah. That was my baby's idea. 1-2 pitch. Now 2 and 2. Callaspo, the switch hitter, up there from the right side. Derek Holland, a little bit erratic here in the early going with his command, and that happens from time to time. Derek trying to settle back into the groove. Now the 2-2 pitch is low, and for the second straight hitter, Holland has had a full count. Callaspo, the number 7 hitter, to be followed by the catcher, Chris Iannetta. Holland with the payoff pitch. Hit well, but pulled foul down the left field line. And we'll come back and try it again. For some reason, in the first part of the ballgame tonight, Derek Holland looks like he's quick with his mechanics. It looks like his tempo is a little bit faster than when we'd seen him. That's inside, and the walk puts Callaspo aboard. First pass issued by Derek Holland. 1 on, 1 out for Iannetta. Take a look at the Ford leaderboard. Innings pitched for the Rangers since the beginning of 2011. Derek Holland, 514 in the 2 years plus, 2.5 years now. Matt Harrison next, Hugh Darby, Colby Lewis, Alexi Ogando. Iannetta, first ball swinging, and he fouls that one back from Holland. It's 0-1. Iannetta kind of having a tough season for the Halos. They expected a little more offense from him. Just 208 with half a dozen home runs. He's hit well against Derek Holland, though, in a limited number of games.
Yeah, one thing Iannetta has done well this year is make the pitcher work. He's worked a lot of walks for a guy.
Yeah.
Only hitting 208. He's walked 51 times.
Yeah, limited at bats. He trails only Mike Trout on the Angel club, and Trout's had an everyday player.
Yeah, Iannetta's only been up 212 times.
1 ball, 1 strike. Holland misses low and inside, and the count goes to 2-1. Oh, Derek fighting himself a little bit. Trying to find that one thought, that one feel that he can repeat time and time again and get himself back in order. 2-1 pitch coming to Iannetta. Ground ball, Beltre has it. He goes to second for 1. The return is not in time.
Wow,
What a play.
That would have been a double play of the year right there. Pretty good just to get 1 out on that ball. I thought that was a hit for sure. Well, Adrian's been struggling by his standards defensively the last couple of weeks, but right on top of his game with this play.
Yeah, if that double play had been turned over, we could have gotten a highlight film already with that particular play.
Oh, pretty close.
So Iannetta now is at first base as Adrian Beltre has a little smile for his teammates. J.B. Shuck, who had his first major league home run last night, is up there, left-hander against left-hander, and he takes a strike. Shuck, who handled the DH chores last night, hitting that number 9 slot. 283 for the year, a home run, 21 driven in. He's played in now 79 ball games for the Halos. 1-1 the count. Chuck asking for time. There's that home run we were talking about off Matt Garza last night. He got the Angels on the board first. Pitch outside. 20th pitch of the inning for Derek Holland. So he's again scuffling just a bit, trying to find the right combination.
Hasn't found his groove yet.
Nope. Iannetta a short lead from first as Holland comes set. Good fastball to the outside corner. 1-2 to Shuck. We got our pitch tracker back tonight, the Fox tracker. Nice to be able to show you where those pitches were. The 2-2. Call strike 3. He just tied him up like a hostage at the plate. And Shuck having a couple words, but to no avail. 1 runner stranded. We finished an inning and a half. Rangers 2, Angels 2 on Fox Sports Southwest. the varied number of answers. Who's your favorite Rangers player? Go to Twitter and pick out your favorite player. Then it's hashtag FS and the player's last name. For example, if Derek Holland, it'd be hashtag FS Holland. You have a multitude of choices, at least 25 of them on the active roster right now. We'll tabulate the results, send those back to you later on in the ball game. Well, here's a lot of folks' favorite player from last night, certainly, Giovanni Soto. And he takes strike one from C.J. Wilson. Soto, that towering home run right down the left field line last night to win it off Ernesto Frieri. Breaking ball is hit by the bag at third. Knocked down by Callaspo. Long throw, not in time.
Nice recovery by Callaspo. That was pretty close at first base. Mike Scioscia going to have a word about it.
Yeah, I thought the naked eye that he might have gotten him, but Scioscia apparently felt the same way.
Oh, that was quick. That was saying the magic words, your first sentence.
Jerry Lane apparently was not in the mood to hear any kind of argument from Mike Scioscia. Scioscia went out there and said hello, and Jerry Lane said that's enough.
Look at the look on Lane's face.
Yeah,
he's not going to give any expression.
He's also not going to say anything to him.
That's frustrating. The manager's trying to get into an argument, and Jerry Lane is just going to give him the poker face.
Scioscia's not quite through yet. He's got a little bit more on his mind.
Jerry Lane, I don't think he's even breathed yet.
Yeah. Making mental notes when he writes up his report of exactly what Scioscia said to him.
I've never seen that kind of reaction from an umpire before. He still hasn't reacted to it.
You know, the veteran, the crew chief of this group, and he leaves his mark immediately.
Tough hop for Callaspo, who knocks it down. Picks it up, makes a pretty good recovery.
Yeah, he had an argument.
Yeah. He's digging for all he's worth. Well, that's about as close as you can get.
Yeah. But you can see why there would be an argument in that particular play.
Yeah.
Either way, as a matter of fact. No, it's going to be ruled a base hit on that great camera work we just had. Our camera crew's good. Got a look right down the line of that bounce that came back and hit Callaspo in the hindquarters. Came back to his left and made it almost impossible. So it's an infield single for Soto. Craig Gentry takes the pitch low, and it's 2 balls and no strikes. Rangers now with 4 hits tonight. Soto aboard. Craig Gentry, a .230 hitter. Craig starting to put it together a little bit. Came off the disabled list. 4 for his last 10 since being activated. Had that non-displaced fracture of his left hand. A swing and a miss. It's 2-1.
They threw him something other than a fastball on the 2-0 pitch. I think Craig was dead set on hitting a fastball. To the point where he swung at that pitch.
Wilson okays the sign. A check of Soto at first. And Gentry shoots it foul off to the right. The count evens at 2-2. Rangers have not seen a lot of left-handers of late, and so Craig hasn't had a whole lot of opportunity. Leonys Martin has been the center fielder, and when Craig went on the disabled list, Leonys Martin pretty much took over center field and hasn't relinquished it very often. Pitch inside, the count is full to Craig Gentry. So with nobody out and Soto at first, Gentry trying to join him on the base paths. Top of the order, Leonys Martin will be next. Wilson sets, and he goes first base way. Trumbo playing off the bag.